um, I improvise a video because I've just watched an interview by Stephanie. I will put the link in the description below. And I said that I would, as long as I make videos consciously in English, circumstances which enable me to do so, I will promote these books. That which I call American common sense, maybe. I would like to talk about insanity. I do not follow these rules. My standards are, as long as I can, I will go out normally and buy groceries, and every time I do, I share my excesses of money with others, because I know that this is part of my insanity. I am trying to do good by encouraging people to just run their household in a responsible way, but as of now I have 32 subscribers, and I intend to produce a video or a few videos which eventually will make this channel successful. But by the time that it becomes successful, people will say, whatever. I have tried the gradual approach, but I've understood, because I've understood this many months ago actually, that the gradual increase doesn't work. Because of YouTube algorithm. So in a way I laugh, but I am way too smart, even though I experience myself as being dumb. So I will talk about what Lady Gaga says in this interview that I've just watched. So yeah, first, I know myself that I become smarter every waking hour. And I need to sleep as of now, because when I don't, I am really negative. So sleeping just 6-7 hours, it helps my chemical balance within my brain. And when I do sleep, I am in a more stable mood. When I don't, so I don't know how long I will try to keep sleeping normally, maybe a few days, I don't know. I will put the link to my best intellectual videos about logic, the phenomenology, which is the life of spirit and intellectual life of the US and the Western world, and my view of the process of God. Let us talk about mental issues. Lady Gaga and Eminem, Stephanie and Marshall are the embodiment within the realm of modern pop culture of the female aspect of God and the male aspect of God. One of the ideas that I've tried to share, but I have failed, simply if people want to know God, partly at least I would say, I don't know, they just have to listen to Lady Gaga and Eminem and connect this with my videos, and they will understand. And I would like to do this because I advise people who might find themselves in a position to do so to actually follow my piece. I would like to do this, but I can't because I am under constant pressure. So yeah, but anyway. Stephanie and Marshall, they suffer basically from the same problem. That's what I understood by just watching the video. they tell the same story from a different perspective. The link that I put about the interview by Lady Gaga, basically that's the song The Way I Am by Eminem, or Marshall Mathers, because I'm just Marshall Mathers, I'm just a regular guy, I don't know why the fuss about me, etc., etc. And the way I am is, would you have the decency to leave me alone, etc., etc. That's the change of measure from a logical standpoint. Insignificant quantitative change, the quantity changes up to a certain point, it becomes qualitative, which brings a change of quality, and then the fans pressure, we found this in a realm of chemistry. It's a quantitative determination of repeated contact of molecules on a given surface, the speed at which the molecules or the atoms bounce back on other atoms and molecules, and that's a quantitative proportion. So we find this in the realm of chemistry, and in the realm of psychology. When artists become famous, they are under pressure because their fans become annoying, basically. And the same goes in politics, football, sports. Yeah. And the people that have been, in a way, chronologically the most important in my intellectual and spiritual development, which I now know are the European gods and goddesses, when I kind of lost my mind a few weeks ago. Now I've kind of recovered. They suffer, most of them, from the same mental diseases. There is autism in Carol and Marie, kind of autism, like super intelligent, autistic people. Yeah. And in Caroline and Stella, there is a PTSD, dissociative disorder, bipolar, the alter self. So the people that I consider to be the most intelligent, the most brilliant, the best in a way, they suffer from the same psychological and even kind of psychiatric issues as Eminem in a way, and Lady Gaga. So the divine people, the people that I have recognized as being gods, they are the European gods, and there are the god and the goddess of pop culture, but they are also, in a sense, Marshall and Stephanie, they are also European, and they are also gods and goddesses, but here the categories are important. They are gods of pop culture who happen to be European, and of course it's connected, but they are not European gods as such, in a sense that they are not archetypes of the pantheon. I mean, that's complicated, but actually no, but I kind of understand myself. As of now. And I intend to produce a long video where I speak the truth, but the problem is the truth is a totality, it's a process. If I do not show the whole process, at least very formally, what I say is unintelligible, and I have been partly frustrated against some YouTubers because when I stumble upon video, I don't know what they know, who are they, what I mean, where do they speak from, what do they know, etc. But I tried to do this, I tried to register and produce an introduction that I thought I would implement at the beginning of each of my videos, but I realized that the introduction is the video about the process of God. It's more than 5 hours long, so I cannot put a 5 hours long introduction in most of my videos. So in a way, that's one of my problems. I try to do good. Not because I am good, but because I cannot feel good, but it's not, maybe partly it's partly, no, precisely it's not. It's not sometimes I have this tendency, this leftist white tendency, I just want to feel good about myself. But there's also the right wing, in a sense that I have to produce some standards, so the both aspects, and I cannot bear the burden of existence if I cannot feel and think good about myself. That's my problem. Knowing that I am the negative, that's the great irony of whatever people call, depending on their mythology, Lucifer, let us say. I have been pissed off, as they call this, or angry against everything and everyone, including myself, and against others because I'm against myself. I don't know, against God, maybe against everything, because I have constantly tried to do good, and I still do, and I will still try. But it implies partly to speak the truth, but the truth is a process, and it's the totality, and in a way I know myself. This is one of my contradictions. I am consciously lying to the empirical people around me simply because my truth is so complex that if I express this formally, I had my God experience, I identified with God 4 years ago, I am reason, the whole of reality, but I tend to forget or not to understand why, or that would be the formal, and I tried, and I still do in a way, but I try to speak relative amounts of truth, which is already a deception, depending on who I talk to. And when I try to speak what I would call philosophical truth, namely to make this intelligible, I will stop being arrogant, because maybe I will again, but I am growing a little bit. When really, no, I would say the lowest level, no, that's kind of, I try to make this intelligible for someone who I imagine hasn't had any college education. I haven't had either, with an IQ of, let us say, between 95 and 105, in the middle, in a predominantly European populated, European in the sense of anthropology, society where the majority of people are between 90 and 110, and yeah. I try to express myself rigorously while being accessible. And I don't know who knows what about anything. So when I talk about the various layers of being, the kind of reaction that I get, I've already said, either I am called, people make me understand that I am arrogant, or it goes too fast, or it's too complex, or negative reaction in a way, or kind of embarrassment, like I am embarrassing them. and I am negative on many aspects, but I still, I don't know, I have what we call common decency, namely when, and maybe that's, I don't know, but when I sense that I am embarrassing people, I have this tendency, okay, I will stop embarrassing you, I will retreat, and I will, because I have this human, all too human aspect of common decency, as of now at least, I don't know, which is kind of a, this is part of the insanity, because I am conflicted between my philosophical and religious truth and my common sense everyday morality, I want to say, in this sense. That's one of my problems. A problem, yeah. As an empirical person, on a day-to-day encounter, I am well-mannered, polite, well-educated, socially. In the sense, I am decent. I hold the door, I am polite, I try to respect, etc., etc. But in my mind, my ideas are very radical, and not here in a negative sense. I mean, negative in the sense of negation, but not in an evil sense. They are just radical politically and scientifically and I have understood a couple of days ago that basically everything that people call good, most of the things, I call this, if I have to refer to it, I call this the negative, which is what people call the devil, Lucifer, Satan, or Loki in Nordic mythology, or whatever, the negative, that's evil, in the various human mythologies, or whatever they call evil. Everything that people call good, like for instance, going out and have a conversation with people, having friends, having a job, being a decent worker within society, saying I love you to another person, having a normal life. And I wanted the same things, because I have tried to over the past few years. But I call this negativity, evil, not because it's separation from God, and everything that people, not everything, but what I call God as a mind and as the totalitarian thinker, the rigorous logician, my serious German self. When I kind of try to speak as a rigorous German metaphysician, and here I'm not in a mood to make jokes. Really, when I try to be serious, I encounter, people throw negativity back at me. So in a sense, I guess that I am negative to them. Arrogant, totalitarian, frightening. But I try to do good by being faithful to God, one might say, as I envision this. So I will not change suddenly all that I have believed, and because I still believe that the real God is really this metaphysician, logician, but I understand now the perspective of ordinary humans, what I call empirical people, which are just human beings. I understand in advance all the negativity that I will receive, because what I call good, rigor, systematicity, logic, rationality, transcendence, spirit in a way. Ordinary people, they call this evil in a way. And everything that I call evil, while knowing that it hurts me, but everything that I call evil, or not necessarily evil, but negative, yeah, they can be distinguished. The ordinary humans, they call this good. To have friends, to be in love. I'm not saying that. I mean, I have said that God is not that God, that love is evil. Eminem knows this. Spell it backwards. I'll show you. Because I'm not saying that it's. I mean, when I say this is, of course, I love love. That's the greatest. Gift, but it implies separation, which is negation, metaphysically, which is already the root of all the subsequent negativity. Because I just realized that a couple of days ago, my entire very complex metaphysical system, which here is my kind of. Here I'm in a mood, I'm stable, etc. But the kind of intellectual content that I've been producing, I'm not here in a mood to laugh. That's maybe the sad aspect, is that when I compare my intellectual production with the standards of Hegel, the writings of Hegel, I really believe that what I produce is not good enough, because it's not rigorous, and I'm not in a mood to laugh. That's my problem, because yeah, what was I saying? I just want to be able to say I love you to another without hurting this other or these others, and without hurting myself for hurting them. Basically, that's my truth, actually. But my truth, I mean, what... The question is it even possible? This is the kind of insanity. In ordinary life, there are, I guess, billions of people who say to one another, whether a boyfriend, girlfriend, wife, husband, parents, children, brothers, sisters, friends, whatever, colleagues, whatever, who say to one another, I love you. And this is probably one of the greatest joys of their everyday existence, to be able to relate to another. But me, with my metaphysical system, my entire complexity, the whole of being, thinking itself, which I genuinely, it's not that I believe, it's that I know this is kind of the truth, that God is the totality of being, thinking itself. But what I have been working on is the kind of question that I have asked myself is, am I allowed? Can I say to another, I love you, without, I mean, love, okay, it implies suffering, but without too much suffering for the other or from myself? This is the kind of question that here I will be kind of make slightly a joke, an uplifting joke. This is also dialectical. Up until a few months ago, I genuinely believed on a conscious level that me, what I call myself as an empirical individual, I was the most boring, insipid, flat individual. Yeah, but I still kind of think I have become less boring because some of my jokes, when they are inspired, they are quite good. No one finds them funny except maybe myself when I rewatch some of my videos, but the kind of, eventually people will watch my video at some moment, and the level of complexity within my psyche, which here I identify as the white psyche. It's not just my personal case, it's really all white people, most of them, especially whites. In this sense, white people, they really are apart because the complexity. That's my maybe my yin-yang attempt to unify good and bad, or praise and criticism, in a sense that I think I am allowed to praise white people. I mean, that's a praise, kind of. But I feel the need to balance this with kind of a criticism, otherwise I would look suspicious. Why are you praising white people? The complexity of the white psyche, which is found in novels, poetry, movies, biographies, this tendency of self-inquiry, the entire literary, it's mostly found in literature, where the psyche can music as well, the psyche can express itself. That's one of the aspects of romanticism. White people, in a sense, they are completely apart. The Jews, partly, they do not express this through poetry, but through, partly, the Jews, they are quite complex as well, psychologically. But the whites, it's on a different level, but the complexity, in this sense, there is no comparison. That's my way of solving the problem, is that it's not that they are better. I mean, for someone who is interested in the depth of human psyche in the good sense, of course it's more interesting, much more interesting, but it's completely different, in a sense that the level of introspection and it's not found in any other people. I know this. I'm not saying that the others, they are bland and dull. No, but the level of, because it implies a kind of moral torment, and there can be individuals of any people and in different proportions, but it's quantitatively much more prevalent among white people, among Europeans, anthropological Europeans. And yeah. Because I will not make the video too long, but I tend to overthink. That's the name of a channel, Ellie Anderson. I tend to overthink, but I know that in a way that's the proper way of thinking. Also, I will put the link. Hegel is an Alien by Zizek. It has helped me. Yeah. I tend to overthink, and every decision, the most insignificant decision, becomes a moral conflict, a moral torment, and an intellectual struggle. And I wonder, but is it because I have to be punished? In a way, I have to, but is it my punishment, this constant moral torment and struggle and intellectual struggle, and or is it a disease of my mind? Is it mental illness which makes me suffer? Is it? That's the kind of question that I ask myself. Is my inner moral suffering, which produces evil on the outward, which has to come back at me, or is it because there is evil that I am morally tormented? And here I'm not in a mood to say a Wechselwirkung, because I really don't. Here in this sense there has to be a first moment, and because to come back to what I said, Lady Gaga and Eminem, they are very different, but they are kind of the same nonetheless. They're identical because they suffer from the same problem, and they have helped me a lot to understand myself. I've almost never listened to an interview by Eminem, maybe a few minutes here and there, but no, really. But the songs, he's a great psychologist in a sense. I know most of his songs. And Lady Gaga, I've listened to her talk recently for a few hours in various interviews, and they are the same in a way. I mean, there's the masculine and feminine, the difference, and then there are difference of sociological context. They are not the same, but they suffer from the same problems. And one of the pathetic aspects of whatever I am is that I have never, I mean, I have, but I still cannot envision a God that might suffer. I know that I am a pagan, I mean, a European religion and a Christian, which are the same religion from a different perspective, namely the idea of the God who crucified himself. That's Jesus. I mean, I'm not Jesus, but that's the story of Jesus in metaphors in the Bible, and that's the story of Odin hanging on a tree with a spear, etc., etc. That's the pagan, which is actually the European story of self-harm in a way. So physically, yes, because but morally, so whatever. The process goes way too fast for me as an empirical individual. I will not give up on the struggle because but I have already given up on the idea to try to outsmart. I mean, I never to try to outsmart God. I know it's impossible, but I've not even tried because I know it's impossible. But simply to compete intellectually with who? I would say with Hegel, but no, I would not. I mean, I will laugh here, but I would not compete intellectually with God. It's impossible because you have to lose. But with Hegel as well, but I can imagine antagonizing Hegel, knowing that I would lose. But no, seriously. Here I'm in a mood to laugh, but intellectually, it is impossible to, because I've had what I thought great ideas over the past. I mean, I constantly have great ideas of, I will make videos, I have very interesting things to say, I want to make a lecture on this, on that, to try to explain, I could speak about this, it would be amazing. I mean, amazing, it would be interesting maybe. And because I move so fast, a few hours go by and my old ideas, they are already outdated because I have new elements to incorporate. The circumstances are different. Now I have I suffer from a pressure, so I say, okay, I give up on all intellectual rigor, then I am a little bit more stable. I grant myself the opportunity to read slightly a few books here and there. I mean, not a few books, but to read books for a few minutes. It improves my understanding. I connect the dots. I rewatch some of my videos. It goes so fast. That's why the good news that I bring to humans, I've already said, you are all innocent, because the requirements that I ask of others is way too high in a way. That's part of the. I don't know what to say. Even when I lower down, which I am forced to, no one can understand. No other can understand me, because it's way too complex. So the real complexity, it's even less intelligible. So I am frustrated. As of now, I'm in a stable mood. I have been frustrated because I know that I have to be negative against people who are innocent, and eventually everyone is innocent. I am just. That's why there is a negative, maybe. But my negativity implies that I have to exteriorize my negativity consciously onto others, which is unfair, but just so that they might hit me back, so that I might get rid of my negativity. And I tried to do this with those I thought were the smartest, but then I realized that it's not. I made a mistake, because in the current state of circumstance, they are not the smartest in a way. So I overestimated not their intelligence, but their level of consciousness. So I went way too fast, and this is the mistake that I made. There are many other mistakes, but I simply traveled way too fast. So I thought that I had been thinking truly, but actually it was misjudgment, because there was a disconnection between my understanding and the understanding of others. So I made intellectual errors, which are moral errors, and now I am kind of partly trapped by these errors, not completely. I can change them, I think, as long as I can. But it has been. That's why. The more I make, the smarter I become, the more I understand. But I don't understand because I am too smart, so I make errors. So it makes me feel like a failure. so it reinforces my feeling of being a failure. And I will put the links to two songs, Monkey See, Monkey Do, the Eminem, and Echo, Eminem as well. Eminem, he talks about my mind is a Rubik's in Echo, and in the other Monkey See, Monkey Do. I don't know how it works, how my brain works, whatever. Basically, it goes too fast. It's yeah, and I will end the video here. What I wanted to say, to summarize, the people that I understand the most, and in a way that I love the most, because they are like me in the good sense. They are kind of autistic, with many mental diseases, but yeah, but they are also brilliant, and I understand them the most in a way. And they are the most complex, maybe the most interesting. And these are the people that I have, those that I identified as being gods and goddesses. They are what I call the European gods and goddesses, and Lady Gaga and Eminem, which are gods and goddesses as well, and they are European as well, anthropologically and unconsciously, culturally, although they are Americans in terms of citizenship, but they are Americans, but also Europeans in terms of soul and spirit in a way, or soul or mindset. That's why America is so complex. So these are the people that I have recognized in a way. And my truth, in a philosophical sense, is way too complex. Way too complex. What I think I have understood recently is that God, the real God, wants me to be me in a way, but I don't want to be me because I know myself to be the negative, so I try to be just like Hegel, while not like I did before, by making sacrifices. I improvise videos, I give up on the rigor and systematicity, I kind of let go, I try to be more honest, I try to implement ethical standards of behavior. I try, knowing that I can't, precisely because, but I cannot completely, I can partly, but... So I try to do what I call to do good, but... The theory that I have been developing over the past few days is that maybe the real God, the 3% of my mind, or the 0.3%, maybe it's a logician, a pure ID, that's the view of Hegel, the ID, the totality of all logical determination. And this entity, for lack of a better word, is so intelligent somehow. That's just a theory. That's what I think as of now. We are the 7th, I think, of October. It's 4 p.m. This entity was, I don't know if we can speak of let us use ordinary language. It's just a hypothesis. It's not to be taken rigorously. It's just a hypothesis that this entity, the ID, the mind of God, is or was so intelligent that maybe this entity wanted to dumb itself down. That's not what I believe. It's just a hypothesis. That's kind of the view of Philip K. Dick, partly. Either it was to experience itself, that would be good, or it's some sort of to release the burden of an excess of intelligence. And I am the result of this. I am the product of an attempt to dumb myself down, maybe. And I forgot, and I am trying to, my purpose is to try to recover what I call my best self, which would be this logical, logician, metaphysical, etc., like the writings of Hegel, and I'm doing exactly the opposite with these kind of videos. Because in a way, here, maybe that's the tragic aspect. I try to be like God because I have such a high opinion of God. In a sense, whatever I have said, God is, here I'm in a mood, maybe I will share, but God is the best, of course, he's great, etc. But the view that I have of God is this pure mind, which also exteriorizes itself and creates galaxies and planets and everything else. I mean, yeah, that's the problem. Everything else, there are pretty... yeah, but most of the great things... No, seriously. I don't want to be like God in a sense. Oh, my mission in life will be to be God. No, it's simply that I have been dragged into a process, and now I try to set high standards. And I cannot imagine why would God want to be me, or why would God have created me as I am. That's why I identify as the negative. And here I'm in a kind of a joyful mood because I have slept well, yeah. But if I could speak to God, and in a sense, I know that I am not the real God, really, in the sense, yeah, I am not the real God because I am not in full possession of whatever, but maybe that's what I've started. Maybe God, as a pure mind, here this really hypothesis wanted. Was it an accident? Not an accident. Was it built in within the system? Is it because here that's really a question to which I have no answer. Why would God become human with a body and the way humans are? Why would God, as a mind, as an intelligence, as a spirit, become human? Why would God take the form of a human? I mean, I know I have thought about this enough that if I were a green alien frog living in a different galaxy and all the other would be green alien frogs, I would ask myself the same question: why is God a green alien frog? If I were a triangle, this is the kind of speculation that the 18th century philosophers asked themselves. If I were a triangle, I would ask myself, and the Greeks already asked themselves these questions, if God was a triangle, all the other would be triangles. Yeah, I would ask myself the same question, but really that the idea that the mind of God becomes human to experience the world partly, I don't understand how a pure mind or a spirit becomes embodied in what we call humans. That's a mystery. But yeah, the hypothesis that I'm developing is that maybe God wanted somehow to experience himself as human. Then the question is, let us imagine an above the pure logical realm. There was a choice, like I can be a human, I can be a pink elephant, a green frog, a triangle, and okay, I will take the clothes, not the embodiment of a human. I don't know how it happened, if it happened, but this is just a hypothesis. But maybe God wanted to experience himself as a human, but the way I have understood myself is that this human self is the negative, which is whatever. So I have tried, and I still try to abolish myself, because I want to abolish evil. So I'm in this pathetic attempt to negate myself, the negation of the negative, as the writings of Hegel call this, because I cannot find any satisfaction or peace or happiness or sense of self-worth as long as there is evil. And since I associate myself with evil, I want to abolish myself, basically. But I am not completely evil, because the positive and the negative but then when I start to think like this, I become confident and I say, I'm not completely evil, which means I am allowed to be good, and then I feel good and I start to make jokes, they are spontaneous in the sense that I do not write my jokes. I mean, sometimes I tell jokes to myself and then I repeat them when I'm in a mood in some video, but usually it's spontaneous. And then I just want to feel good about myself, whatever I am, even if I am the negative. But that's why I make jokes about people getting rid of me in various sort of comical ways, etc., etc. I can anticipate. I suffer from contradictions. Which cause me moral torment daily, and I do not know what I am and what I am allowed to do or not to do. And I have experienced so many situations where I have tried to do good, what could be considered good by most standards, and it has backfired. Here, a joke that I thought about a few hours ago, I will tell the joke. I did not write my joke, but every time I try to do good, it backfires. That's why maybe I'm always burning myself. Yeah, I can anticipate. I can anticipate. Just I've understood this a few weeks ago as well, is that in some of my videos I thought about playing a role or putting on an act in a few videos over my various channels. But of course, if I am a pure metaphysical principle, I am always putting on an act. In this sense, I am always a hypocrite, because a hypocrite is the one who wears a mask. So if I am a pure metaphysical principle, I am constantly being a hypocrite. That's one of my problems. But on a conscious level, on an empirical level, I try not to be, by being spontaneous in these videos, for instance. And so here, on an empirical level, I am not a hypocrite, on an empirical level. But, yeah, I've understood a few weeks ago that in order to be evil, precisely, I don't have to play the role of the bad guy, because when I just speak the truth, I am spontaneously negative. In the sense I am negative because I am not human as most standards, in a sense that what I am interested in and what most people are interested in, it's so far removed. And here it's kind of a it kind of hurts me, but it could be worse. But when I read some comments on YouTube of probably young people, let's say between 17 and 25, let us imagine, they understand the meaning of some songs by the artists they like, and they write long comments, and they understand, oh, I've understood this, the connection, etc. That's great, and if it can make them satisfied, that's great, and I'm happy for them. But they try to decipher, one song by one artist in pop culture. That's great, because one of my messages has been to try to express that important religious, divine, philosophical truth are expressed in modern pop culture. So that's great if they can connect the dots with important existential meanings or whatever. But here's the disconnection that I suffer from, is that what I have been trying to do on an empirical level for the past 4.5 years, with a few breaking, for more than 2.5 years of my life, is to try to decipher the writings of the German metaphysicians, and mostly Hegel. And in this sense, I will connect the dots with what Zizek says in the video. I am a monster, and a monster it's a statistical exception. In biology, a monster is an entity which is statistically disconnected from the rest. That's just the quantitative. That's why sometimes studying logic can help. It kind of appease me in a sense that whatever I am kind of a statistical monster, in the sense that I am just so disconnected without being evil here. I'm not talking about being evil, just that's what Zizek means when he talks about Hegel as an alien. Because what I am interested in and what I try to think about, namely the totality, in a logical, rigorous system, which I have given up to. I have given up on the rigor, the systematicity. I have given up on pretty much everything that I thought was good for the sake of a sense of self-righteousness, for trying to make my thoughts intelligible. And the more I give up on the serious aspect from a logical, philosophical standpoint, the more I become a monster, in the sense of a rationalist, totalitarian, in the sense that Zizek means, because I keep saying, which is kind of true, I dumb down, I simplify, it's easier. And actually, it reinforces the disconnection, because what is really the most simple, from my perspective, when I try to be rigorous, which I am not trying in this video, obviously, but when I have my visual view of what I call the system, the more I simplify, the more it accentuates the disconnection from empirical people and my system, because I can anticipate that, they some of them at least don't even remotely are capable of understanding, because it's simply because over the past few months I have understood a few ideas. In order, I have given up on my German language. Now I say ideas. I do not even say Denkbestimmung, Bestimmt. I have given up on the German language, not because I don't think about this, but simply because I've understood it's way too complex. The ordinary because with an IQ of 131, which is at the 98th percentile, I thought, but I'm an idiot in comparison with the Newtons, etc., with an IQ of 160, 70, 80, 190, etc. So I thought of myself as being an idiot in comparison with the 0.1% or the 0.05% or whatever. But then I forgot the rest of just on the question of quantitative intelligence. I see from my perspective as an empirical individual, where an IQ below 85, let us say, is already if the mean is 100, 90, that's okay, it's the lower medium, the lower in the middle, but below, okay, 95, but below 95, with it has to be in a society with a bell-shaped curve, etc. There's no problem. It's not a moral judgment. It's simply that it's on the lower end of the spectrum in a society whose mean IQ is broadly 100. But then I am kind of intelligent enough to understand that, and I am intelligent enough to know that there are variations of IQ depending on the various countries. But maybe I'm too dumb to connect the two and to realize that what I am trying to express when I speak rigorously, as I call this, it's way too complex. Way too complex. For myself as well. That's why I have given up on trying to compete intellectually. I cannot, and I will not give up the struggle until I lose eventually, I guess. But I am doing this to do good. That's the problem. Whatever the story humans tell, the struggle between Lucifer and God or whatever. It's not Lucifer will try to outsmart God. No, Lucifer precisely is smart enough to know I don't stand a chance. But precisely, here I'm in a mood to laugh, but I want to do good. And I want God to let me be good, at least, because I cannot be completely bad because of because of the logic designed by God. I am forced to be at least partly good. Yeah. Look what you make me do. This is the kind of insanity. That's good insanity, but yeah, whatever. I will just end the video because really God has not, here I do not identify with this entity, which this entity maybe does not identify with itself. That may be the problem, I don't know. God as a thinking entity which kind of brings forth a world with inherent rationality in a way. I already said it, but yeah, I cannot help but I'm not always in this mood, but here, I already said this, but it's frightening, not in the sense of a scary movie or whatever. It's not frightening in a sense of a... It's frightening in a sense of a... It's awe-inspiring because it's way too vast, way too fast, way too smart, without I don't know. Here, I will be honest, I'm kind of afraid, not in the sense of there are other ways of being afraid. I am afraid of the intelligence of God, not in the moral sense, like, God uses his intelligence, no, to punish or whatever. No, not in the moral, simply, it's frightening in a sense that it's way too smart, in a way. In the way I envision it, I try to use image, it's a universe, but not just a universe, that would be just creation, it's a universe which thinks itself. Because I know that the entire historical process and even cosmological process is in a way rational, in the sense that it can be explained and it can be interpreted rationally, coherently, backward, and each era can interpret and has, in the official document, interpreted its own past, anticipated the future, and it can be done for each era. How the 17th century interpreted the Middle Ages, how the 18th century interpreted the Middle Ages, how the 19th century interpreted classical antiquity, how the early decades of the 20th century interpreted antiquity. And I know it's partly rational, so it's, and I can make how it's, I could list that's what I have been working on and will keep working on, is to provide the conceptual frame, the structure, and in this sense I cannot identify with God as this totality thinking itself. It's way too fast, really. In the sense, if God, I'm not even sure that I will use the language of Hegel. In this sense, the substance cannot be a subject. I mean, it can, it is indeed, but the cosmic thinking God, let's say the super intelligent entity, which is the whole cosmos thinking itself, in this sense, I cannot envision this as being a subject because it's way too vast, in a way. Which, in a way, I am thinking this, but I'm not thinking, I'm just envisioning the view. Yeah. So we are living a moment in the process of God where, as I can express, is that my view as the negative, but also the subject of the substance, partly, is becoming clearer on a holistic perspective. Now I have the formal view it's not to be learned mechanistically, but I see the full picture. That's why, I see the full picture of the totality. So it's becoming clearer in a way, but it's also moving faster, and it's becoming in a way more complex, although it is becoming clearer. I will conclude with Eminem, because I said I've never listened to an interview. I just watched a 1 minute, I think, interview where he says he wrote his song Rap God in 6 minutes. I kind of I kind of understand how the brain or the mind of Marshall Mathers functions. And he talks about this in many of his songs. It's really, when I think when he is in a creative mood, he really is... I understand, basically. And I have experienced this a few months ago. It can hurt just to think, not just thinking. It can hurt and exhaust. Just thinking, it causes kind of suffering, not moral here. It's not moral suffering, it's physical exhaustion. Just thinking. That's why I am still a Christian. Don't worry, I'm a Christian. Or worry, I'm a Christian. That's a joke. That's a joke. No, I identify as a Christian because my view of Christianity is a total view. But I'm also a European. Now I call this the European religion, which is called paganism. Actually, it's kind of the European religion which brings forth Christianity, not the other way around. So yeah, they are the same, but it's more unclear in mind. But there is the formal aspect of the Bible, which it contains important messages, and the reconstruction process of the European religion, the books that I've been promoting, and they are very important because they are a self-recreating process. But then, on a different level, one might say, on a not religious, but really on a philosophical standpoint, which it's identical, but nonetheless different. Identity and difference are identical. I know, thank you. Yeah, I will continue. I will not let myself be distracted by... My philosophical view of God is Hegel and Philip K. Dick, because these are the two minds or writings which explain a cognitive view of God, which is also kind of creative, but there's the cognitive aspect in a process. And this, here I'm in a good mood. I don't know how long it will, or in a stable mood, I would say. But if I can just stabilize, calm down the process, slow down, that's what I would like to do. But am I capable? Am I allowed? Is it possible? Here, that I am in a scientific mood. It's not always the case. I just would like to stabilize, to calm down the process, and to enable others to study God, whether or not I am here, whether I am, I don't know. In this sense, I'm really a scientist. I'm not important for the sake of science. But I am not so often in this mood, and I may regret... No, but seriously, just to study God. That's why here my contradiction reappears. There are so many here. I'm in a kind of a negative mood, but useless. That's why I promote these books, because so much waste of time to do stupid, nonsensical. And that's why my plans keep changing, and depending on my mood, which depends on which is connected to my understanding, but I can anticipate that I will put a link to Affected Collective, which is one of the very few, if not only person who has this cosmic view. There are others, which links I've put in other video. They have a cosmic view of God. Yeah. But Affected Collective, she associates the scientific aspect with the cosmic aspect. That's the only one I have found which unites both these elements. Footnotes to Plato partly does, but she really understands the way I understand this as of now, namely we are students of the universe, etc. And in this sense, this vision of God is way greater than me, probably. And that's why I'm frustrated, because very annoying, these humans with all their problems. I have to solve all the problems just so that they might here I'm in a mood. Science is great, let's all share science. Here I will be in a pathetic mood, but if Lady Gaga, Stephanie and Marshall, if they could just have the opportunity to read books about romanticism, philosophical, artistic, and about maybe about my world, if they could peacefully study their own life through my own perspective, maybe they would be cured. I don't know. And this is my frustration. What am I allowed to do? How do I function? Because I am becoming I would say oppressed. This is connected with the interview of Lady Gaga by I guess by myself, but in a form which is way too fast and too smart. Namely, I am experiencing moral torment every day, which kind of makes me despair, because I will conclude the video with, just to summarize, I'm in a process where the process per se goes way too fast. I have ideas coming from my mind, which I think would be good if I have many ideas. I would like to make videos, but then I anticipate, then there's an event, it changes my perspective, and I have contradictions which emerge in my reality that I have to kind of solve, but I try. I will work on my plan, which is not a scheming, it's simply the view of the totality. My hope, or my I don't know if it's a hope, my expectations or whatever, is that eventually I will be able to slow down the process and to extract others from the process. It begins by removing the bureaucrats, not in a Stalinist way, or letting them remove themselves from their own enslavement, removing the educational system. If I can be good while knowing that whatever I have to suffer, but here really I'm in a mood, let's turn the experience of God into an interactive process of whatever. But I will conclude. I'm in a mood to laugh, but maybe at some moment the real God, like the real God, the I don't know, the spirit, the intelligence, whatever, will say what it's not that I want to be true, is that I know from personal experience, but also from metaphysical deduction, that I cannot find any sense of whatever is good if I cannot associate the idea of myself with causing innocent joy to others. I'm not oh, I will please you, no, I don't care. Maybe I do, but no, to another, to others that I care about spontaneously, that's the first moment, then eventually to all others. But that's why the particular is so important. And I cannot here I will make a joke. Maybe that's a joke for me and God. We share jokes together sometimes. God knows that I don't like making improvised videos because I don't like this. But I have the moral stand. I have to sacrifice all intellectual rigor for the sake of whatever. But then I have to upload the video. It takes a few minutes, and now I can go outside and distribute the excess of the good that I have. And as of now, this is my joy. I take whatever, my money, my knowledge, or whatever. I don't want this. I have too much. And then I can feel good for a while. And then I say stupid things like, oh, I love God. It's not stupid, but whatever. Yeah. The real God will testify someday. I cannot find any sense of satisfaction, whether it's left-wing virtue signaling, feeling good, chemical releases within the brain for virtuous action or whatever, or right-wing sense of achievements of whatever. if I cannot associate the idea of myself with bringing joy to others, eventually to the others that I want to be grateful to. And now, in my mind, these are the European gods and goddesses. But then the others as well. It's a flow, trickle down, whatever. Because it's not that I am good, it's simply that I don't know. Yeah. And I become negative in my everyday life that I do not record on video because as of now I keep this for myself when but I become negative because I fail, I experience myself as failing. And when people, the few, whether in my empirical, when people want to thank me, it annoys me because it's kind of weird, but I want to bring joy to others, but I don't want them to that's the connection with Eminem and Lady Gaga. I don't want to turn into I'm just Marshall Mathers, I'm just a regular guy, leave me alone, the way I am, have the decency, whatever. I don't want take my excesses of good and leave me alone. Leave me alone, or leave me with the people that I do. I want to joyfully be with, but because here I have understood recently, that's part of my insanity. When I look at what ordinary, here I will be negative. I have to. No, I don't have to, but that's how I am. But when I look at what people are ordinarily interested in, I guess that before I die or after I am dead, here I think about Nietzsche and the shadow of the Buddha. Very intelligent, this Nietzsche. That some people, eventually, I guess, some others of the substance will kind of relate to the negative, I guess. But I can anticipate because I have listened to the songs of Eminem precisely. Yeah. And the interview of Lady Gaga. Whatever. I have become a statistical monster because of my IQ. I mean, an IQ of 130, that's not statistically a monstrosity. It's very rare, but it's quite common. It's in the sense that it's between 2 and 4.5% depending on the mean. So it's not, but a very high IQ with isolated in a library with books and self-talk for years and years, that's a statistical monstrosity in a way. And I have realized also recently that I am partly problematic and even dangerous for myself and for others because I have a culture. I never thought that I would say that I have a culture, but I have accumulated a culture over the years. And now I am not formally educated in a sense that I cannot make a lecture very rigorous on whatever, but I have a culture. I understood this recently. I mean, yeah. And with culture comes standards. And here I will finally end the video with say, most of my problems come from the fact that when I talk to people, I don't know what they know or there's really a lot of problems. Not all of them, maybe, I don't know, but a lot of problems come from misunderstanding. And I know that I would have to, I'm talking for myself here, but I would have to forgive others for misunderstanding me. Here I will make the connection between Katy Perry, Extraterrestrial, Kanye West, and Hegel and the alien with Zizek. And that's why I insist upon the importance of the categories. And I have had many ideas in the ordinary sense over the past few years that I thought were worthless, but then when I find myself in a situation where Hegel cannot help me because he's too busy, I don't know what he does, but no, seriously, when I have to talk ordinarily, I use my own, what I call my own ideas, and then I become a little bit bitter because I said to myself, but I had great ideas. And Hegel here, Hegel made me believe that I was worthless. And now he's gone because I do not read his books or very rarely. And now I have no choice but to use my own ideas. So he made me believe that I was worthless, but now I have no choice but to use my own worldview. And then I become this is my work, my sweat and tears, this is Don't Push Me, Eminem. This is a kind of song that I listen most of the time. And then I become, I don't know if I become arrogant, but I become like I have worked on, I mean, it's not real work, it's not blue collar, etc., but I have worked intellectually to try to impress Hegel or God maybe. And it was not good enough, so I have worked harder, better, faster, stronger. I've not worked as a blue-collar person, but... And now I'm starting to realize, but I have to be myself, as they call this. But being myself implies the attempt to be another. And here I can anticipate that at some moment, some others will say, but we just wanted you to be you, the best you. But that's what I've been trying to do. And when I try to be what I think is the best me, namely the totalitarian thinker, people are negative against me, and I am frustrated. So I fall down to my own lowest level, namely to improvise video, and I can anticipate that at some moment, sometime people will watch this video and they will say, maybe they will say what I think about Lady Gaga. But the problem here is I'm really frustrated. The problem is that Lady Gaga and Eminem, when they talk randomly in an interview, that's great, etc. But they have an artistic production that they have consciously produced next to their ordinary talk, and I haven't. Or my best productions, these are my videos about logic, and and still it's not it's just a commentary. That's why I'm frustrated. I had plans. I have disrupted my plans. I have to think another plan to try to do good. I know this I have known this for many months. The emotions of the substance, the objective world, the world in which the people other than me who watch it, because I know that there are people outside who watch my videos eventually, even though there are between 5 and 10, and at some moment there will be more people. The emotions of the substance, they affect me, but I don't know what I can do to affect the substance. I try to share my books, but it doesn't have a lot of impact precisely because I make 10 views. But I am frustrated because I am I am determined by the substance, and I try to solve the problem of the substance. But I don't know the connection, I don't understand the connection between myself as an empirical individual, my psyche, my ideas, my mind, the substance. I will take a pause. And yeah. I will stop the video and I will I will see what I do in the coming hours or days.